Hi, welcome to the course IT Project Management. My name is M. Ram Mohan Rao. I am a former Dean and Professor Emeritus at the Indian School of Business, Hyderabad, where I teach a course on project management. My teaching and research interests are in the area of operations management. This course is about information technology, or IT for short, project management. The duration of this course is 4 weeks, with each week consisting of several modules, with a total of about 1 hour of presentation for each week. Each module will have a presentation for a maximum of about 12 to 15 minutes. This is the first module of the first week, and it consists of an introduction and outline of the course. There is no universally accepted definition of a project, but generally a project is considered as a temporary endeavor with a specified start and end. For example, building the Taj Mahal was a project. Discovering a cure portfolio was started as a project. Putting a man on the moon and bringing him or her alive was also a project. An IT project is a project related to IT. These projects include software development, including system software such as Windows 10, development of a new laptop, hardware installations, network upgrades, implementation of business analytics that require the management of large databases, etc. IT projects are a subset of all projects. IT project management involves managing IT projects using project management tools, techniques, and methodologies. There are typically 3 parameters or 3 metrics that one looks at for project management to evaluate how well the project has been done. The 3 metrics are time, cost, and performance, which is sometimes referred to as scope. Project scope is a statement of work. It includes all elements of a project plan, such as project objectives, deliverables, milestones, schedules for major segments of work, an estimate of costs, time, and resources required. Technical requirements for performance of the output of the project are also defined. The boundaries for the project, including the limits and exclusions, are spelled out. Project scope should be reviewed with all the stakeholders before it is finalized. A major issue, especially in software projects, is the frequent changes in scope, referred to as scope creep. This arises essentially because before the start of the project, the customer is unable to articulate all the requirements for the output of the project. One of the important functions of the project manager or project management is to maintain a delicate balance between scope creep and the rejection of the additional functionality that the customer desires for the product, which is the outcome of the project. A project is not routine work. It involves a unique set of activities with some precedent relationships among the activities. That is, some activities can be done only after some others have been completed. The idea is to complete the project within the specified time and within the budget and meeting the performance characteristics. Why are projects important? If you look at a business organization, the current processes and products produced are as the result of projects undertaken earlier. As far as the future is concerned, it is through projects that the organization grows. The existing assets are the result of projects that have been undertaken earlier are currently in progress. Future assets that enable the organization to grow are acquired through projects that are to be implemented in the future. The value of a firm is dependent not only on the assets that the organization currently has, but also on the assets that the organization is likely to acquire through projects currently in progress and the projects likely to be undertaken in the future. It is not enough to have ideas and projects, but they need to be implemented well. In India, some companies that execute project well are Reliance and L&T. In 2008, CIO.com cited a dynamic market survey of 800 IT managers that showed 62% of IT projects failed to meet their schedules, 49% suffered budget overruns, 47% had higher than expected maintenance costs, and 41% failed to deliver the expected business value and ROI. During the period since the last survey, I'm sure there has been some improvement in meeting the time and budget deadlines and perhaps in delivering the expected business value. Nevertheless, there is a need for substantial improvement. An important aspect to keep in mind is that If the success of a project is measured only by the performance metrics that we talked about, namely time, cost, and scope, we may have the situation where the project is a success but the product fails. As doctors may say, the operation was successful but the patient died. In the above cited survey, 41% of IT projects failed to deliver the expected business value, but there is no mention of how many of those 41% IT projects were considered to be a success in terms of project performance metrics, which are time, cost, and scope. It's also possible that the project is a failure in terms of time and cost, but the end result is so outstanding that one forgets the time and cost overruns. Some notable examples of this phenomena, although not IT projects, are the Sydney Opera House project and the Vidhan Saudha project in Bengaluru. Duration of a project life cycle is the time interval between the start of the project and the completion of the project. There are 4 phases to the project management life cycle, which differs from the product life cycle, which is the time interval between the time the product is conceptualized and the product is withdrawn from the market. Typically, a project life cycle is a subset of the product life cycle. Project life cycle has 4 phases. Although we will be talking about the 4 phases as sequential in nature, there is considerable overlap among the different phases. The first phase is the so-called defining or initiation phase. The second phase is the planning phase. Similarly, the third phase, which is the implementation or execution phase, can start before planning is completed. The final phase is the closure or termination of the project. Each phase will have its own set of activities. In the defining phase, you have to specify the goals, specifications, tasks, and responsibilities. Project charter is a deliverable from this phase. A recent development in IT project management is the consideration of the value of flexibility and real options thinking for evaluation and implementation of IT projects. An overview of this approach will be covered in the second module during the first week. The different forms of the organization structure and communication plans are also discussed as part of the defining phase in the third and fourth modules respectively of the first week. The planning phase will be covered in detail during the second week. The deliverables for this phase are project scope, network diagram, estimation of time, cost, and resources required. First, assuming that required resources are available, we show how one can arrive at a schedule of the activities. In this module, we'll show how to calculate the so-called earliest completion time of the project. We then define the critical path in the network and show how the set of critical activities can be identified. The activities in the project require various types of resources. We then have to overlay the resources onto the project activities, and the schedule may get affected because some of the resources may be in short supply. 2 types of problems, namely resource leveling and resource limitation problems, are covered. Risk management, which is part of the planning process, will be covered during the third week. As part of risk management, 3 estimates for each activity duration and the use of simulation in program evaluation and review technique, or PERT for short, will be covered. The execution phase is where you monitor the implementation of the plans and make changes if necessary in the plan, including the schedule of the activities that are in progress or not yet started. It is important to note that a plan for the activities yet to be started is not binding and may be changed if necessary. So every time an ongoing project is reviewed, the revised, if it's necessary, budget and project completion time are calculated. Consequently, one should be clear whether the budget overrun and delay in completion of the project are stated with respect to the original budget and date of completion, or with reference to the revised budget and date of completion. The use of tracking Gantt chart and earned value analysis for project monitoring and control will be covered during the third week of this course. A primary reason for delays in the completion of the software projects is what is referred to as scope creep. This arises because typically the client is not able to articulate all the desired requirements for the software to deliver. As a result, the so-called Agile project management is sometimes preferred over the traditional Waterfall model for software project management. This will be covered during the last week of this course. The final phase is the closure or termination of the project. As part of this phase, a performance audit is needed and the learnings from the project should be recorded. The various aspects pertaining to project audit and closure will be covered during the last week.